everyone. You're welcome to another session with a thriving immigrant woman, hosted today by Yvette Takwe. In this space, we seek diverse ways to rise, to thrive, and grow as immigrants. I bring to you live stories and success stories of successful immigrants just to help encourage you so that you can become a better version of yourself. Today, we're going to be presenting a very sensitive topic, and today I want to talk to you about my why. For every child of God, for every new immigrant, for everyone seeking to undergo a new journey, there is always that moment where you want to stop and you ask yourself and you ask God, what is my purpose? What is that very essence of me living? What is that very purpose of you implanting me in a new environment? What is that one goal you want me to achieve and to fulfill? And today I'm going to share a story of my purpose and how I began my journey as a registered nurse in the United States of America. In 2010, I got to the United States, and just like an immigrant, just like you, wondering where to begin, I had a couple of aunties, I had a couple of friends who had always been here advising me get into nursing somewhere like, oh no, you just want to go do general education. You were a teacher back home. Why don't you continue with teaching? Or why don't you just seek different ways and get into business or just work as a store manager? And I began to ask myself, God, why did you bring me to the United States? What vision do you want me to accomplish in the United States? And this is what happened. In 2013, tragedy struck. And what was that tragedy? I lost someone so dear, dear, dear to me. And what was so sickening and sad about the situation was my grandmother, who nurtured us, who cared for us, who loved us, who taught us how to be better women and better children, became so, so sick. And me being the first child, I wasn't there to be able to help my family and to support them during that moment. So my parents kept communicating with me, telling about her sudden sickness and how her symptoms were changing. And due to being back and forth from the hospitals, not having the right specialist to consult with, or not having the right specialist to look after her, I lost my grandmother in 2013. And short story about that, the death I won't say was natural, but she was misdiagnosed and treated for the wrong thing. And that is what got me thinking. I went back to God and I was asking Him, what do I do in this situation? How do I forge ahead? How do I help? How do I write a different story? And God took me to the book of Luke. And at that time, we looked at the story of the Good Samaritan. If you have come across the story of the Good Samaritan in the Bible and you know so verse, we started learning about the story, things from childhood and things from Sunday school. God told this parable to the people and to his disciples, and he expressed to them the story of the Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan was journeying, he was traveling just like you and I, immigrants, leaving our home, and we are traveling and journeying to different countries. And he met this man that was brutally beaten and lying on the street. Mind you, so many people had passed through that street, so many people had walked through that area, but no one, rich people had walked through, clergies walked by, nurses, I would say, walked by, businessmen walked by, but they did not help him. But the Good Samaritan stopped, took care of him, bound his wounds, dressed him up, and he did not only end there, he went a step further to rent an inn. And he told the owner, what did he tell him? He said, I want you to take care of him until his wounds are completely healed. He paid for the bills. And I was asking God, what do you want me to do? He said, Yvette, it's time for you to rewrite the story you learned from how you lost your grandmother. She was misdiagnosed. What are you going to do about it? What do you want to change? And what do you want to see different? So, why did I share the story of the Good Samaritan? The story of the Good Samaritan really, really, really makes meaning to my story as an immigrant. And I find myself so connected in this story. Why? Because the parable and the moral lesson that was shown, it gives us a blueprint where we see mercy, empathy, and action of love being portrayed to us. That is what the story of the Good Samaritan portrayed to us. My nursing journey, it mirrors that sacred calling that as an immigrant, I often felt like the Samaritan navigating unfamiliar roads, sometimes overlooked and underestimated. The stress of being a mother, the stress of managing a full-time job, being committed in school full-time. That was what I saw. This good Samaritan was able to give up his love, give up his money, give up his time to be able to care for this person. Why do I want to share about my why? My why. It is always very, very important for you to know why you are doing certain things. And how do you get to know what is your why? If your why is aligned according to the purpose of God, you have to pray and ask God to reveal to you what He wants you to do in entirety. You don't just get into a career because other people are getting into a career. You don't just jump into a nursing because that is the field that is selling at that point. You don't just jump into IT because you feel like IT gives you more money. You want to get into a career that fulfills your purpose. You want to get into a career that if tomorrow you're not being paid, you still feel happy doing it and working in that career. You want to get into that career where you can work and you put in your 100%, your love for others. And that is why I'm sharing my why with you today. Why are you in that country? Why are you at that job? It doesn't matter if it's nursing. It doesn't matter if it's cybersecurity. It doesn't matter if you are a sales manager. The customers God bring to you every day is bringing them to you for a reason that you can minister to their life. Somebody might just need just one word of love. Somebody might just need you to say you're beautiful to heal her day. Somebody might just need you to say thank you for her to feel appreciated and keep doing the great things that she wants to do. What is your why? I'm calling on us immigrants. I'm calling on us, even those who are just looking forward to begin a career. I'm calling on us, those who are already engaged in a career and you feel like you're not getting satisfaction. It is time for us to take a step back and ask God, what is my purpose? What is my essence for living? What is that one thing you want me to accomplish before I leave this earth? So I shared my story to you because God used different ways to direct me into what He wanted me to do. And ladies and gentlemen, today I'm not just a registered nurse. Today I'm breaking grounds in the field of healthcare and I'm still working hard to get to higher heights. So I'm calling on you. If you're doubting, if you don't know the importance of what you're doing, if you don't feel satisfaction in what you're doing, comment, send me a message. Let's talk about it. I have counselors, I have friends, I have advisors that can advise you on what field fits your purpose. And let's not forget, God is the ultimate purpose. So if whatever you are doing is not fulfilling the kingdom business, is not fulfilling God's purpose, then it's time for us to stop again and re-examine our lives, look at ourselves and ask God, is this where you want me to be? Because if that is where God wants you to be, then you will prosper. If that is where God wants you to be, then you're going to find peace. If that is where God wants you to be, then you're going to find elevation. If that is where God wants you to be, no matter how stressful it might be, God is still going to be with you and you will find joy, you will find peace, and you will find strength. And just as God commanded the people at the end of the parable, He said, you go and do same. I'm encouraging us. Take out time, make out a quiet time, find your why and fulfill your why as God gives you strength. Thank you. It's been Yvette Takwe, your host here at the Thriving Immigrant. I wish you a blessed week.